She stepped into the room, her boots clicking with confidence and solitude. He stood behind the bakery counter, hands dusted with flour, a young girl tugging at his apron. When she lifted the cup and unfolded the napkin beneath it, her hands shook slightly. The note held just 7 words, but they cracked something deep within her, sparking a chain reaction no one could have predicted. The bakery was hushed at 7:15 a.m., just before the morning crowd. James Carter, a 36-year-old single father with broad shoulders and a tired grin, polished the counter while stealing glances at the clock. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, sat at a corner table, sketching butterflies and wishing for waffles instead of toast. Then she walked in, a striking figure against the dawn's glow. Dark jeans, soft gray sweater, designer boots worth more than James's monthly rent, and eyes that seemed to have forgotten how to hope. Triple shot latte oat milk. Steaming, she said, barely glancing up from her tablet. James nodded, looked at Lily, then at the napkin holder. He jotted something quickly before slipping the note under the cup as he handed it over with a quiet, "On the house today?" She raised an eyebrow. "Why?" He paused briefly. "Some folks look like they need a kind word more than coffee." She gave a slight nod but said nothing until she noticed the napkin under her cup. Her fingers hesitated before pulling it out. "If you ever want to feel alive again, come back. No fuss, no expectations." Her grip wavered, her breath caught. Because only one person had ever spoken to her like that, and he'd been gone for 4 years. She left without a word. But the next morning, she returned, and that was just the start. When she walked in the next day, the bakery seemed to pause. James was cleaning jam off Lily's sweater. He looked up, saw her, and didn't smile, just nodded, calm, respectful, as if she wasn't the most influential woman in the region, as if she wasn't Claire Weston, billionaire CEO of Weston Innovations. "Same order?" he asked softly. She hesitated. "No," she said, then quiets her. "Make it your choice." James quirked a brow, nodded, and turned. Lily peeked over the counter, curious. James crafted a mocha, deliberate and careful, dusting the foam with cocoa. She sat this time at the table where Lily had sketched butterflies. The girl looked up with bright green eyes. "Are you lonely?" Claire blinked. "What makes you think that?" Lily pointed at her tablet. "People who stare at screens while drinking coffee are always lonely. My dad says so." James cleared his throat from behind the coffee machine, half laughing, half mortified. "Maybe your dad's got a point," Claire murmured. The cup warmed her hands. Different. Not just the taste, the feeling. "I'm Claire," she said after a long pause. James wiped his hands on a towel. "I know. I'm James. This is Lily." She looked at the girl. "How old are you?" 7. "But I want to be 30 so I can drive a van and catch bad guys." Claire's smile flickered, briefly touching her eyes. That night, in her high-rise apartment overlooking the city, Claire stared at the napkin again. "If you ever want to feel alive again, come back." She had everything: stocks, legacy, private security, but none of it had stirred her in years. Until today, until a man with flour on his knuckles made her a coffee and shared nothing about himself. On the 3rd day, she didn't wear boots. She wore flats and brought scones. Lily grinned. James blinked, wiping his hands. "You brought food. I figured I owe you a cup or two," Claire said, pushing the box across the counter. "And your kid's drawing me butterflies now." Lily held one up proudly. "This one's you. You're flying it." Claire laughed softly, something easing in her chest. She hadn't laughed like that in months. "Why'd you write that note?" she asked James later, voice hushed. He shrugged. "Sometimes people lose sight of themselves. You look like you needed a nudge." Claire stared at him. "You don't know me. Didn't need to." And then she whispered, "Maybe you should." 3 weeks. That's how long Claire kept returning. No chauffeurs, no guards, no news. Just her flats on, hair in a loose ponytail, always bringing something small for Lily. A sketch pad, a bag of gummies, a tiny butterfly charm she clutched tightly. James never asked why she came. She never explained. But one morning she didn't appear, and by noon her face was all over the news. Breaking: CEO Claire Weston hospitalized after collapse at Investor Summit. Rumors of exhaustion, isolation, and burnout haunt Weston Innovations. James read the headline 3 times before muttering, "She was running on empty." Lily stared at the screen. "Is she okay?" "Don't know, kiddo." 2 days later, Claire returned, paler, slower, but upright. James froze when he saw her. "You shouldn't be here." "I had to be," she said, voice breaking. "I needed something real." She slid a manila envelope across the counter. "Don't open it yet." "Why not?" "Because once you do, everything changes." The next day, James opened it. Inside was a legal contract stock transfer, $50 million in Weston Innovation shares, vested in trust for Lily. James stared. "What is this?" he whispered. A note was attached. "She reminded me who I was before the pressure, before the name. Let her never forget who she is. My thanks. Claire Weston." But news spreads fast. A grainy photo of Claire and Lily holding hands outside the bakery hit social media. Then the questions. Who's the man she visits daily? Single dad with a mystery link to CEO. Billionaire's quiet gift to baker's daughter stirs shock and admiration. Claire's board erupted. Reporters staked out James's home. He had to sneak Lily to school through a back alley. Yet Claire kept coming. "I didn't mean for this mess," she said one day, voice tight. "I know," James replied. "But you changed it all." She looked up. "So did you." Her company disagreed. That night, Claire faced an emergency board meeting. She returned, jaw tight, hands trembling. "They're voting me out," she whispered. "They think I'm unstable." James blinked. "Because you were kind? Because I wasn't predictable." But she didn't cry. Instead, she said, "If I lose it all tomorrow, promise you'll still make me coffee." He took her hand gently. "I'd make you coffee even if the world fell apart." For the first time, she wept, not from loss, but from being truly seen. James had never set foot in a boardroom. Not until that day, when Claire stood beside him, chin like iron, striding into Weston Innovations headquarters as if she wasn't facing a firing squad. He wore his best shirt, still faintly scented with yeast. Lily stayed with Mrs. Larson next door. "Just in case this gets messy," James had said. When the doors closed, silence fell. "Ms. Weston," snapped Edward Klein, the board's chair. "This isn't a charity event." "No," she said coolly. "But it's not your empire anymore either." She dropped a thick folder onto the table. James watched, quiet, trying to follow the storm unfolding. "This is James Carter," Claire said firmly. "A man of honor and the father of the girl who now owns 4% of Weston Innovations through a family trust." "Yes." Stares. One man in a tie dropped his glasses. "He's not qualified," Klein started. Claire cut him off. "He's not here to run anything. He's here because your issue isn't control. It's that you've forgotten what loyalty means." Later, in the parking lot, James exhaled. "Claire, what was that?" She leaned against a pillar, eyes shut. "That was me taking back what I built before they drained its soul." He looked at her. "Why bring me?" "Because when I stood alone, I crumbled. But when someone believed in me, I remembered how to stand. That night, it worsened." Klein leaked footage, surveillance of Claire and James holding hands outside the bakery. The media swarmed. Billionaire CEO gifts shares to barista boyfriend. Nepotism or love story? Is Weston Innovations ruled by emotions? Reporters mobbed James's home. He picked up Lily from school with a police escort. At night, he stared at the ceiling, wondering, am I helping her or pulling her down? Then one morning, Claire didn't appear. Nor the next. He texted. No response. On day 4, an envelope slid under his door. No sender. Inside, a key and a napkin. "If you believe in me, come find me." She was at the cabin her mother left her, one she kept secret. James drove 6 hours, trudged through rain, found her on the floor in an old hoodie. "I had to escape," she whispered. He knelt beside her. "Why give me the key?" "Because," she said, voice cracking, "you're the only one who knocks before entering." That night, they didn't kiss. They talked of dreams, grief, lost years. At 2 a.m., she asked, "Do you still see me as that woman who walked into your bakery?" James's voice was steady. "No." She tensed until he added, "I see someone stronger." Claire returned to the city a week later, not with guards or lawyers, but with James and Lily holding her hand. The press went berserk, but she smiled through the cameras because this time she owned the moment. At the annual Weston Innovation Summit, she took the stage, silence falling over a sea of executives and tycoons. I've been called reckless, she said. Emotional frail. But the truth is I was lost. People shifted uncomfortably. I let power eclipse purpose until one morning, a man I didn't know gave me a coffee and a note. She held it up, worn, faded, real. If you ever want to feel alive again. Murmurs spread. Then she gestured to the side. James stepped out, Lily beside him, wide-eyed but steady. I stepped away to find myself. And I came back stronger. The next morning, James opened the bakery and found a silver plaque on the counter. This bakery saved a life. C.W. He smiled. Behind him, Lily yelled, Dad, she's back. Claire stood at the door. No boots, just coffee. And this time, she slid a note to him. He read it, grinned, and whispered, Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you for watching. If you like this story, please like and subscribe to our channel.